exciting meeting. A couple of things, you guys probably know the bathrooms are up down the hall there. If you need to get more food or coffee, feel free. And just want to say welcome. We're excited we're here because we have an exciting agenda today, a little bit different than usual. I think that there's so many changes going on in our world right now, and all the voices that you have here coming together helps us kind of understand what's going on in the marketplace. And we put together our agendas, I'm not going to say with half-baked things, but really with what's going on in the market. It's not sorted out yet, and it's okay. We like to do this because this is what you're dealing with in your business. And the market is fragmented, and sometimes it's together, and we like to take a look at the things that you're having challenges with, and we break it down. And so to help you, and then that helps the ABC, because the ABC, we are about working on your behalf, and we don't come up with the things that we work on. We get those from you. So this is your organization. So let's get started. I wanted to introduce Eric Holtz in the back. He's our host and our technician today. Eric runs the collaboratory, this room. I want to thank Eric for donating their time for this room, and also thank all the volunteers today, and thank everyone for being here. So also want to introduce Deb Goodman in the back. A lot of you already see and talk to her on a regular basis. And I think with that, let's get started. The first thing that I'd like to do is recognize Dan Rubenhaus that we lost recently. Or is it clicking?
Right now.
You're in the top or the right one?
There we go.
Okay, great. Many of you have known Dan for a long time, or just met him when he moved here. I worked with him in Oregon and Washington when I was at Owens Corning 14 years ago. And we're gonna miss him. And I think he had a lot of unpacked in everyone. And we just want to celebrate him, and remember him. And he was a trailblazer. I think that he changed our industry, and he would be missed. And I'll just take a moment. Say thank you, Dan. So with that, we'll move forward. So up first, we have Casey Becker. And Casey is from Colorado Solar and Storage. And he's going to come up and talk to us because I went to Energy Foundation, donates to the EBC to do the policy work for you guys. And we met, and the group is filled with 50 different people. And from all the nonprofits, WRA, NRDC, there are nonprofits that are working on policy for our state, and they're working on the things that impact your business and what you're doing in the field. And so I want Casey to come and talk to us and give us a background of the federal things, the administration, and what we lost a lot of funding, and then the state, how it's stepping up, and how those groups are working, and how that impacts you guys. Great.
Not doing slides. Hi, I'm Casey. So I association of about 280 companies, from manufacturers, distributors, solar installers, EPCs, small resi to big, large scale of solar and battery storage companies. And before this, I was President Biden's appointee to lead EPA Region 8. Region 8 is Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. So I oversaw all of EPA's activities, including its grant making in Region 8. And then before that, I was in the state legislature. And I represented a 5-county area, and I'm an environmental lawyer. And so I worked on a lot of our environmentally focused legislation, and I was the Speaker of the House. So I got to like set our agenda. So I've had a bunch of different hats in this space. But in this, I'm really going to talk about the federal incentives and sort of where those are. And if I'm saying stuff that you guys already know, or like, I'll just interrupt me, okay? Okay, so as you all probably know, in 2022, the Inflation Reduction Act passed, and it was a bit of a misnomer because it was actually the biggest piece of legislation worldwide that invested in climate solutions. And there were a number of federal agencies from the Department of Agriculture, Department of Energy, EPA, that administered all those programs. And then recently with, some people call it HR1, some people call it One Big Beautiful Bill, some people call it OB3, which I might call it that because it's a little, sounds like Star Wars, but it's easier on the tongue. So OB3 really repealed a lot of that. It also repealed things that existed way before the Inflation Reduction Act. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. Even before the repeals, though, those programs were getting ended. So I'm going to talk about some of the ones that most affect the sector. But I will start with the good news, which is one that had a couple that have not been pulled back. So EPA administered, got $5 billion in what was called climate pollution reduction grants and distributed that. Initially, almost every state in the country, 46 out of 50, created climate pollution reduction plans. And once they did that, they could then apply for grants. And $4.6 billion was awarded in grants. Believe it or not, like almost every state submitted a grant for this money for technologies and programs that would have climate solutions. Anyway, Colorado got 2, which is amazing. There were only 25 granted out, and Colorado got 2. Colorado Energy Office got 129 million, and DRCOG, the Denver Regional Council of Governments, got 199 million. And CEOs, Colorado Energy Offices, is the Colorado Decarbonization Accelerator, and then DRCOG's is really focused, and CEOs is focused on buildings, electric power, industry, transportation, waste, and materials management. And then DRCOG's, the 199 million, is focused on buildings. And so those still exist. Those have not been pulled back. They are not in litigation. Those programs are moving forward. So to the extent you're really interested, like I would say, keep checking back on their websites as they implement those. I'm just going to read a little bit about each of them. So the Colorado Decarb Accelerator will implement projects in multiple sectors, including measures to reduce methane emissions from landfills, coal mines, and natural seepage. The selected application will also, CEO's application will also support decarb of large commercial buildings and accelerate local greenhouse gas reduction policies and projects. And then DRCOG's is a zero emission building initiative grant. So they're going to, DRCOG got the grant, and then they'll subgrant that money out to fund measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from residential and commercial building sectors and increase energy and resource efficiency within the Denver metro area. So because it's DRCOG is used to serve on that board. I think it's 52 cities and county representatives from 52 cities and counties in the Denver metro area. So
59.
59. It used to be 59. So they're growing. So the selected application will help achieve a region-wide goal of net zero building sector emissions by 2050. So that still exists. One of them that was withdrawn is one that my businesses were going to benefit from, Solar for All. Solar for All nationwide was $7 billion. Colorado had gotten my God, I can't remember the exact number, around 150 million. 126 million, I think. And that was for rooftop solar and the improvements to allow houses to do rooftop solar. So not just the solar installations, but the building improvements, panels, roofs, etc. So that one was pulled back, but Colorado is litigating along with about 20 other states saying you can't pull that money back. And so that is in litigation. We won't have answers on that for a little while. Probably one of the biggest ones that was also pulled back, the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, $20 billion nationwide. It was divided into two buckets, the National Clean Investment Fund and the Clean Communities Investment Accelerator. That $20 billion was awarded to about 7 different organizations, really with the idea of financing technologies, projects, et cetera, that would, fund technical assistance, fund community lenders to fund projects. So that 20 billion, there wasn't an organization specifically in Colorado that was granted. Most of these organizations, because there were only 7, were covered in many, many states. So there was one entity that was part of one of these funds. That's all in litigation as well. So that money was pulled back by the Trump administration. And so they're saying, essentially the argument is, wait, Congress gave this money, the agency awarded it, and then, announced award and then obligated those dollars. Once they're obligated, you're not supposed to be able to pull them back. And how much was obligated and if that is still the right interpretation of law is really what's at stake. You have hand up.
Organizations like Rewiring America.
Rewiring is one of the big winners. Yeah. So, and I talked to someone from Rewiring the other day. They had hired hundreds of people and now they've laid a whole bunch of off and it's just kind of crushing. Yes. Oh, you were just waving. That's you. Oh, yay. Thank you for the work that you're doing. So, so we will see, the other aspect of this that makes it a little less straightforward is then, so the money was pulled back, it's in litigation, and then Congress said, we're repealing these programs. They're no longer going to exist. So then sort of one of the legal questions is, well, if it's repealed, okay, great, that's going forward, you're not going to do this, but this existed and was obligated, those dollars were obligated before the repeal. So those are, I think, some of the biggest funds that you all may be interested in. Also in the Inflation Reduction Act, you might have heard that there were lots of tax credits that were ended that were supporting clean energy, EVs, and home energy efficiency. They basically repealed them about 5 years early. Kind of walking through some of that, the Clean Electricity Production Tax Credit was a technology neutral tax credit for production of clean electricity, the investment. So there's the PTC, Production Tax Credit, and the ITC, the Investment Tax Credit. So both of those were, again, they just moved the date of their repeal up by about 5 years. And then they added these requirements around foreign entity of concern, FEOC. And that just makes it harder for a lot of the components of some of these technologies harder to acquire. It just creates a lot of uncertainty about is my project FEOC compliant? So right now in renewable energy world, there's a huge effort to get your project safe harbored so you can take advantage of those tax credits before they expire. So it went into effect, I think, September 2nd, and everyone's really trying to get their projects to meet the new requirements by end of 2027. So there's going to be a huge amount of investment and work to get these projects in place. The Excel announced what they're calling their NTP, their near-term procurement. It's about 4 gigawatts of electricity that they're going to bring online as quickly as possible to take advantage of these tax credits, because it's 30%. After the tax credit, anything that gets built is going to be 30%-ish more expensive. So I think it's great that they're really trying to accelerate all of those projects. Again, it's gonna just make all of our electricity cheaper. Batteries were exempted from the repeal. So to the extent folks are interested, the battery technology that still is, gets tax credits until much later, I think 2032. And you're seeing a lot of battery adoption at homes, but also like in the large scale space to just match solar and storage, wind and storage. So one of the other ones, there's, impacts from HR1 on the state's EV goals. And so EV tax credits, federal EV tax credits, there was $7,500 for new purchased or leased EVs, $4,000 for used EVs, up to $40,000 for medium and heavy duty vehicle EVs. So that's all expires 9/30. So you've got a week if you want to get a new EV. 2 weeks. And then EV charging tax credits. So projects that are not yet in service expire June 30th, 2026. So this is the alternative fuel infrastructure tax credit, which is 30% of the cost of installing a commercial charging station, and then alternative fuel refueling property credit, which was $1,000 for home charging station installation and panel upgrade. So that one's June 30th, 2026. If that's a line of business you're in or interested in, try to meet that deadline. Colorado has its own incentives that stay in place around EVs, but all of Colorado's tax credits have expiration dates as well. I don't have all of those written down. But you could stack them previously, the federal and the state. Now you won't be able to do that. CEO, Colorado Energy Office, estimates that Coloradans will spend $287 million more in fuel and maintenance costs by 2030. And then, so HR1 has a big impact on residential clean energy and energy efficiency tax credits. So the 25D tax credit, that federal tax credit, that ends December 1st. That's the one where as a consumer, you put panels on your roof, you got a 30% discount, a 30% tax credit. So that ends by the end of the year. And again, if you're interested in solar panels, do them by December 31st. Some people have asked us, is it okay if we just have them paid by then? No, it has to be installed and ready to connect. It doesn't have to be connected yet. Some of that interconnection can take a really long time, but it does need to be ready to connect. So the residential energy efficiency home improvement credit, which is 25C. So that's insulation and air sealing, exterior doors and windows, energy efficient heating and cooling. That was 30% of qualified expenses up to $3,200. And that has to be placed in service also by December 31st. So, what does this mean? It's a lot of stuff and a lot of detail and a lot to absorb, but what does it mean for the state? And it does mean that with these tax credits going away, there's going to be less business for you all, higher energy costs for residents. And so the state's working really hard to let folks know that these exist now, to take advantage of them. But the state isn't going to have a lot of opportunity to replace any of those at a state level. What exists now is going to continue until their own expiration date, I would guess. But there's really the state budget. HR1 made some tax cuts that, because the state taxes are tied to federal taxes, also made a huge cut to the state budget, like over $1 billion. So when we change the federal definition of certain things, it changes the state definition. So they have a huge budget shortfall. Probably won't be passing any new tax credits for, you know, a while. So what's there in the state is going to be there most likely. It is actually hard under state law, I won't get into it, to do what the federal government did, which is shorten the life of a tax credit. There's Tabor implications to that, so you really can't do it easily as a legislator. I have lots of experience with that. That is sort of what's going on in the federal landscape. The state landscape, again, the opportunities really with that CPRG, the climate pollution reduction grants that Dr. Cog and CEO have, and then any of the state ones, and then really trying to implement what they can get done in the next, you know, December 31st or some of the other ones that come a little later, those tax credits. All very wonky. That's what I'm here to talk about. The wonky stuff. Am I allowed to take questions? Yeah.
Energy Star.
Yeah.
It's so the indications is that the House and the Senate national level are intending to continue it. I think it's on the budget for 32 or 36 million or whatever. It's one of the highest leveraged sort of cost to return programs in existence and bipartisan. What's your gut take on whether that continues?
I think it's gone.
You think it's gone?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll get cut. So when I left EPA on January 20th, there were 600 people working there, and now there are about 450. So a lot of them they were offered buyouts to just leave. They have to really prioritize the programs that they're implementing. But also, I mean, I would get these emails that people thought Energy Star was like a conspiracy of some sort, and it was just. So I think politically, like, it's hard to do all these programs with the staff they've left. And politically, there were some that were just a little, viewed as suspicious. And that was one of them.
You see it, so the alternative is moving over from EPA, moving it over to DOE, which sort of makes sense, or privatization. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's great if it could stay. I think because, again, they're just, shrinking the size of things, and I think it's not likely, even if it moves over to DOE, but different leadership, right? Like, they get to decide what they want to decide, and I think if it could be privatized, that's obviously a good solution.
So you're not worried about that per se, but in its current form,
if I were predicting, and I don't have any insight, I have not asked anyone about what's happening to Energy Star. Like any of my colleagues, I have not asked them. So that is a pure guess. That is not based on any inside information. It's just my gut. There are a lot of programs that are just getting defunded right now, the whole EJ office was dismantled. That there was a $3 billion grant to fund really small trees in your community or EV bikes in your community, and that got defunded. So I would say it's just largely there are just a lot of programs at risk. The ones that are really popular, brownfields, that's really popular. That'll continue. Anything else? I've probably talked too long.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, that's helpful. Thanks, everyone.
What's going on and the concerns, but Energy Star is such a critical piece of our HVAC heat pumps qualifying. So that's a little scary, how at least that piece seems like needs to be preserved. I don't know if we can educate anybody about that.
Ask a friend
Okay.
and get back to you because maybe I don't want to mislead folks. That was just my gut.
Yeah.
Check.
And I think we are concerned about the heat pump qualification program within Energy Star. Would that be accurate?
I mean, Energy Star crosses a lot of different products and categories and industries. But if you have any particular insider information, let's play inside baseball on this one.
I will phone a friend.
Awesome. Also, we have access to a list that has all of the programs that Casey talked about that have the expiration dates on it. And we'll get that and we'll include that in the report out after this in the notes under your part. So fantastic. Thank you. So next up, we have update from Dr. Cog, which you talked about, giving us the update on the programs that are designed and developed. And so we have Claire Combe and we have Matt Prather, and come on down.
I think I'm first, actually. I know Max Day was up there, but yeah.
So that's your forward and that's your back. But I think that your slides might be in the wrong spot. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Okay. Perfect. Well, good morning, everyone. EEBC. If we haven't met, my name is Clay McComb with Dr. Cog. We're the Denver Regional Council of Governments, not a doctor's office. Yeah, like Casey just highlighted, we were the fortunate recipients of that near $200 million grant that was obligated EPA in 2020. So, I was with the City and County of Denver, kind of helped draft that application for with Dr. Cog and with other partners. And then when it was awarded, I transitioned over just in January of this year. So we've been standing up programs. We've spent a total MAC of less than 1% of our $200 million. And we're almost a year into our 5-year term. So we have a lot of funding to spend, but this whole year has just been ramping up. So I'm the program manager for workforce and industry development, addressing things like the labor gap that we face within the trades, but also the gap in skills of the existing industry and just some of the nuances that get in the way of adoption and market transformation. So just going to give a very brief high level on some of these programs that are still in design. Okay, so first and foremost, the Colorado Contractor Hub. Very excited about this. If you want to learn more about what we're building with the Colorado Contractor Hub, our vendor, Building Decarbonization Coalition, BDC, they are going to be standing up this $4.5 million initiative in an attempt to streamline resources, lead generation, finding a contractor, reciprocity with other programs, all sorts of benefits. And they're actually going to be presenting at the December EEBC meeting with a launch date set for January 2026. Could have done it late December, but it's never good to launch right before the holidays. So stay tuned and definitely come to the next EEBC quarterly meeting if you want to learn more. But some highlights, it's going to be a digital platform, a stipend plan for contractors, meaning if you sign up on this hub, we'll have a list of all the heat pump trainings, both manufacturer and just brand agnostic trainings. And then you as a contractor will get a stipend to cover the cost of those trainings. So we want to incentivize more education. There's a lot of great trainings out there. Find a contractor page. I think one thing to note, if you want to explore what this will look like, you can check out the Switch is On. That's what BDC has stood up in California as far as finding contractors, as well as some in Washington and New York. I think it'll be really unique in that there will be badges for other programs that a contractor on our page is enrolled in. So there will be your contractor profile, but when people find your profile, they'll see a badge for Excel's Great Partner Network, and they'll see a badge for if you're enrolled with CO's Homes and Her program, things like that. Other programs will have a badge showing you're already enrolled. So that's a unique feature I don't see in our market right now that could help. And then we're discussing partnership with utilities. I was texting Celine this morning. I don't know if she's attending today, but excited to explore what a partnership with Excel, what that might look like. Dr. Cog is a part of Colorado, but only about half the population. And Excel's territory obviously goes beyond that. And so we're exploring what a partnership could look like so that those contractors in Grand Junction, Pueblo, Colorado can still access the Colorado contractor. And here I'm already contradicting myself. I said December here, it's likely going to be January of 2026. And and we will a subcontractor on this is Electrify My Home, and they'll be delivering a series of cohorts that we're calling the Small Business Scaling Program. This is mainly for how electrification can scale your business. So probably preaching to the choir in this room, but for those contractors that electrification is new, maybe they haven't installed their first heat pump yet, kind of getting a crash course as to how this can really benefit their business with all their needs. Here's an example from the switches on of kind of what that badging system looks like. Google reviews automated there, what languages are spoken by the contractor, and then we'll have territory as well. One thing that they're navigating with the Colorado market is we don't have a state license. That's how they operate in California. You have to be a licensed verified contractor. It's a little trickier in Colorado when we're licensed at the jurisdictional level. So more on that in a moment. Resource library with all the different softwares and resources out there, just one spot where they can all live. And then here's an example, like I said, that training center, all the different trainings happening. You can register right there in real time. And then for this contractor, there's my my bank, my stipend balance of what I've spent so far and what I have to spend. Those numbers are not guaranteed to be the numbers we have for stipends, but just an example. And then there are going to be 2 real life human agents that are going to be available for use, free of use for contractors who are like, what is this hub? What is the stipend program? How do I get you on ramp into this? We have 2 agents that are both Colorado based, and they'll be at the next meeting too, Ariel and Peter. So they're employees of BDC now. And then just some other brief programs addressing kind of the labor gap. We are contracting with our local workforce centers around Colorado to kind of stand up these green workforce hubs. Basically, if anyone's ever engaged in a workforce center, you can walk into a brick and mortar building, sit down with a career coach. What jobs are there in the market right now? And basically, we can connect new workers, no previous HVAC experience, connect them to training resources and get them plugged into the industry. So if you're hiring right now, like I know Just Heat Pumps, wherever here it is, said he's hiring right now. So if you ever have those needs, you can connect with these hubs and kind of access some new talent, fresh talent pools. Yes, Bill.
Is that going to be with the workforce programs throughout the area, or is it just Arapahoe Douglas?
So Arapahoe Douglas is the lead. We're going to be standing up 5 of these. One's going to be in Longmont. It's going to be in Golden, downtown Denver, Aurora, and then the AD Works one will be in Centennial. Also exploring with the state and Excel what this might look like across Colorado. How do we get more workforce centers support in mountain towns, in Western Slopes, Southern Colorado? Our goal in 5 years is to add 3,800 new workers to the industry. Holy cow, that's a big number. We also can't change that number because of the new administration. We cannot adjust our work plan. So that's a KPI we're going to hit. So we need your help. All right, and here's a map of what they look like. Those black dots are other workforce centers that aren't necessarily going to have the physical infrastructure of the green workforce hubs, but they can still access the same resources. And Devin Reef-Snyder is here. If you want to raise your hand, Devin, she's with Dr. Cog, and she's going to be really overseeing our new workforce development, training programs to get new talent into the industry. So connect with Devin on that. And then lastly, we have one more RFP going out this month, but these are going to be actual training programs on heat pump technology for communities we felt aren't really represented in the industry. So We know that a lot of the industry is aging out. We need to find a way to get more young people engaged. And so we are going to, our vendor for that is going to be the Smart 9 local sheet metal union in partnership with SMACNA. We're awarding them $900,000 over the next 2 years to add train 150 new workers on their heat pump curriculum, which I believe they're going to be using HVAC excellence for that, which of course is an energy skilled recognized curriculum. So excited to partner with our local union, and then we're going to actually be doing a multilingual series of trainings. We've selected Mi Casa Resource Center to deliver trainings in both English and Spanish. We know that there's a large Spanish-speaking population here in the Denver region, as well as Spanish-speaking households that might not get heat pump technology because they don't feel comfortable if a contractor doesn't speak their language. So Mi Casa has partnered with Red Rocks Community College, Front Range Community College, and Blue Sky Training to deliver those cohorts over the next 2 years. And then lastly, something I'm passionate about, justice reform. I used to work at a nonprofit where we helped people that were transitioning from the justice system back into society once their sentence was over. And so we're partnering with the Department of Corrections to actually start training behind low-level correctional facility walls for low-level offenders, get them the skills they need that industry is actually looking for, and then potentially connect them to fair chance employers. Not guaranteeing employment, that's going to be a case-by-case basis, but we are going to be working with, like I said, low-level offenders, good behavior, preparing them for a job in the workforce. This is an overlooked field, talent pool. So that RFP will be out later this month. Okay, last thing. This is, I touched on this earlier, but again, Colorado is very nuanced with licensure. If anyone agrees with that, then talk to me. I really feel like the electricians and the plumbers in Colorado, they have a state license. Why is Colorado an anomaly? We're one of 17 states in the country that does not have a state HVAC license. And so Dr. Cog, we actually submitted a sunrise application to DORA this summer where we proposed that Colorado should move to at least introduce a bill in 2026 to consider a state HVAC license. So that is being reviewed right now. DORA wants to do some stakeholder engagement, but they've told me directly they're not very good at it. And so they've decided that we're going to partner on some stakeholder engagement, both with industry members like you all in the room, to give your feedback on what a license could mean for your business. What are the risks of a state license? What are the advantages of a state license? We want to hear industry feedback, as well as the permitting offices and chief building officials. What do they think about this? So far, it's been a lot of support from both sides. So if you want to talk more about that, please talk to me about that. But we're probably going to do a formal town hall event late October, like probably last week of October.
And then what's the time frame that they're going to be doing those engagement meetings? Ends in November?
So the engagement meetings, we're probably only going to have one for industry and one for permitting offices, but you can go on the DORA website. You can access the application I submitted, or I can send it to you. And then you can also submit your feedback to DORA directly. I think they have a Google Doc that you can do that with.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mac Prather.
No, that's great. Thank you. That's a lot of information from Clay. So if you guys have a question, we can pause for a minute. We'll press on. I'm Mac Prather, also with Dr. Cog, working on our incentive, innovation, low income programs. Clay's basically working on all the stuff that's training workers, giving resources to all of you folks that are professionals working on projects. These are the programs that are providing the incentives, helping homeowners and building owners make decisions to install the equipment and do the projects you all work on. So this is, we're going to kind of fly through some of this, but I want you all to.
It's the arrow.
It's the right on the side.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And here are some of our goals. You all should have these slides, so we won't spend a ton of time on this. But like Clay said, we also have aspirational goals to get equipment installed and get these projects happening. And we also need your help. So the other side of that is we have to design some programs that work for your businesses. That's why really we're here. The first chunk of programming that we want to talk about is our incentive and energy advising work. Again, for homeowners, for building owners, to help them install heat pumps and do those energy efficiency projects in their buildings. Think the same measures or similar measures to Excel's incentives, heat pump water heaters, and things like that. What I'll note here is our energy advising. We will, similar to Clay, have real people who are there to help homeowners and building owners. And it's really important to us that that's also a resource to your businesses. So we, thank you, Patricia, we were invited to the envelope action group already to just start to talk about this and think about how we can kind of encourage customers to do the envelope work as part of their planning. We do want to come back to that. We want to come to the other action groups because we want to make this an advising service that essentially helps you sell projects and do things the right way with customers. So we really need input there. We'll be working with VEIC, that's Vermont Energy Investment Corporation. They've done a lot of work in Vermont, California. We're going to bring their lessons learned here to Colorado and work with them. Also really grateful to have Brendel and Group 14 supporting that. So I think that'll go a long way to create a smooth process for us. Excited to share more about a full service low income program very soon. This is something we're working on getting a contract signed and getting this underway, but it's very similar to Denver's Healthy Homes program, taking some elements from that. And our goal is to work in 1,600 households in affordable housing units and do a much more comprehensive approach. So instead of thinking about incentives, here we're really thinking about the whole building. We'll be sharing more about this program, ways you can get involved from kind of the trade side through the end of this year. Finally, this is one to keep on your radar. We have a $6 million innovation pilot program, and we'll be making small grants. An average is about $200K per grant. That's not a set amount. It's going to be a range probably, but that's kind of the award amount we're looking at. And we really want to focus on businesses and barrier busting for communities, basically ways to get heat pumps and energy efficiency projects done that we can learn from and we can scale for the region. So if you have a novel way to deliver something or reach customers or do a new technology, we'll have more information on this program before the end of this year and applications for this. So we'll be awarding kind of the first set of these grants in the spring. Would love to have some applications from folks on this road. And again, just a very high level timeline. We're really pushing to that January 1 date that Clay talked about with his contractor hub and rolling out these programs in the spring of 2026. So you'll start to see some incentives and energy advising in the first bit of the year in 2026, followed by that low income program rolling out, and then an open application for our innovation grant. And I think probably the one message for this group, especially for folks that are professionals, is just get involved with the Colorado Contractor Hub. We just changed that name. So if you're signed up there, you will get information about all the programs that roll out, all the incentives, all the ways to get engaged. So that's kind of the one action I would articulate. And you're free always to reach either Clay or myself. We work really closely together, so we'd love to hear from you.
Real quick on your timeline, was that spring 26 or 25?
Yeah, there's a typo on
Just
it.
make it.
It's 26. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, do you envision the Dr. Cog incentives being stackable with Excel and the Here and Homes program rebates, or will we're gonna kind of like reduce its amounts when the other ones go up like we've seen in the past?
It's a really good question. So as Casey said, our funding is from EPA. So those are federal dollars. Super grateful for EPA colleagues for helping us kind of move forward. We absolutely will be able to stack with utility programs, Excel. Yes, we're figuring out with the state how that works because some of their HERB programs, homes programs are federal dollars from DOE. So as you can imagine, there's more to figure out as those grade and stack. But for now, we know, yes, we want to combine them with Excel, and that's a huge opportunity. Figuring out the details for the other programs. Yeah.
Are there any updates on, there was talk that some of the money from Dr. Cog was going to go back to Kaiser for some of the programs for the Denver litigation?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are working with the Denver folks to, I think we actually just updated their website to kind of point to our program. So if you're working on a project that was either starting with their folks or kind of the conversation started there, we want to be funneling some of those projects into our program. So imagine some of the same measures. If projects are already starting for commercial buildings, we would want to be in touch with those folks as well. Obviously, we're working in the whole region, so we'll be working outside of just Denver. But I think short answer is yes, we want to still work with those folks that were starting projects with Denver. Yes, correct.
Well, when we will announce the rebate amounts.
We will announce, well, we'll be working on that through the end of this year. So there's some real opportunities for engagement with these folks that we'll be sharing with EEBC to help actually design the details and announcing those, specs, whatever it is, Energy Star, CEE, and the rebate amounts at the start of next year, obviously, more than 30, 60 days before we start the program. So I would say January is the time frame you'll start hearing more of that information.
The EIC's involvement with the innovation grants.
They are helping us design that program and administer those grants as well. So they actually helped run Tech Clean California's Quick Start Grant program. So if you want to kind of look into what we might be doing here, that's a really good example of a very similar program that they also ran. So good question. Yeah, Sean.
With the stacking and all the money that goes into these things, clean heat program, et cetera, I see an opportunity to leverage those dollars way better, in particular midstream incentives, et cetera. What is Dr. Cog's position on downstream versus midstream? And would you help along those conversations?
Yes, we are planning to do some work midstream at the distributor level and probably also with the contractor to help just incentivize certain things. So that's, I think, we want to engage with you on both. We plan to work with this distributor and coordinate with Excel and make sure those work together nicely. And we also want to work with contractors if there are things we can help you all kind of make your sales, make your business easier. Maybe that's a quality install incentive, as you're kind of bringing on new technology to your staff or something like that to help make those processes a little easier. But we'll be doing both. That's where we want to engage. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning it. All right. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Patricia.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Great. The great thing to hear is, I'll take that. With so many programs being canceled, but then we kind of have this nice uplift here in Colorado. And, thank you that we have Dr. Cog and we've got CEO as well coming out with their low income, moderate income rebates as well. So, hopefully we'll see for your business, there's still that opportunity. It's just changing. And, and the nice thing is that we, want to have as much opportunity as possible to give input into the programs as well, and they're very open to that. And I think one of the things I also want to point out is that Dr. Cog is not just focusing on those 59 cities, counties, but that you also have an eye to working statewide in different ways so that we can create that continuity throughout our state, which kind of brings us to our next topic. And so two things. I have Howard Geller. Is he on the line? Yes. Awesome. So part of what EBC is doing in the next year and a half is we talk about, what are we call them our industry action groups? What are they up to? And so we wanted to just remind everyone that the action groups are happening and that, get involved. And this is the time. because there's only a window with Excel Energy. Now it's every 3 years, it used to be every 2 years, but every 3 years we go into, we work with Excel. You guys are talking to, S-Link and Celine and looking to improve the processes and the programs so that it's easier for you guys to do business with Excel. And what happens is that every 3 years, Excel goes into, it's a legal process, basically. We call it intervening instead of going to court. And anyway, intervening means that we look at the rebates that you're using currently and what's working, what's not. What are your pain points? Two of the things that we're really looking about is transparency and rebate processing. Those are kind of two big buttons that are the pause last year is difficult, and it's created some lasting things that we want to take and look and work at. So the point is that in the action groups, that's where we do the work. That's where we break down the rebates and say which ones need to be modified, that you're using. Are there new rebates that you want to submit? We have companies that we've worked with that said we want to get a product in the list or a new rebate. Those are the things that we do AEBC on behalf of our members. And so just to kind of frame up to get ready for that process, Excel typically files that 3-year plan in April, but it kind of got pushed to July. Only got pushed a year later for the last 2 dockets. But Howard, do you want to just frame up what we're going to be working on for the next 6 months?
Sure. Happy to do that. Sorry, I'm not there in person. Can you hear me and or see me?
Not see you, but hear you.
Okay, that's probably good enough.
You are. We can see you.
If you don't know me, I am a contractor to EEBC and help them quite a bit as the expert witness and technical advisor in these dockets at the PUC regarding Xcel Energy's energy efficiency, demand response, and electrification programs. So as Patricia alluded to, Xcel will be submitting a new 3-year plan for its programs that will be implemented in 2027, 2028, and 2029. They will be submitting the plan roughly in June of next year, which starts the process at the PUC for reviewing and approving the plan. That's the process that EEBC, many other organizations intervene. We prepare our responses, submit testimony. Typically, we engage in negotiations and reach a settlement agreement with the utility and the other interveners. The settlement agreement includes the modifications to the plan they submit, and they've traditionally accepted quite a few, not all, but quite a few of the recommendations that EEBC presents. So this next docket will be very large in scope. It will cover their electric efficiency programs, gas efficiency programs, their beneficial electrification programs, and also their demand response programs. And it will have all the details about the programs, the proposed qualification levels, rebate levels, so on and so forth. But this docket will also deal with higher level issues that have typically been addressed in a separate docket. Now it's all getting combined. Those higher level issues, including what are the overall savings goals during the plan period? What are the budget caps for all the programs? What are any modifications to how programs are evaluated? Cost effectiveness tests. So it's going to be a mega docket with more included than ever before. And we've had some interaction with Excel recently, and they've pointed out to us that they're getting started like now. And when they submit something in June, they pretty much wrap it up by April. They, present it to their executives and get sign off. They'll be working intensively on it in the first quarter of next year. They have a lot of people involved. They have, many program managers and a hierarchy of staff. And they welcome EEBC input and indicated they would be open to getting input from EEBC early in the process. We basically can try to influence what they submit, and if they don't accept our recommendations, we intervene and try again in the docket that starts after June. And my suggestion here is that we get started this fall through the different action groups and reviewing their current programs, efficiency, electric efficiency, gas efficiency, demand response, and beneficial electrification, putting together a set of recommendations for modifications that we would like to see, and get those to the utility, say by the end of the year, and meet with them in January, hopefully in the, between the first of the year and the middle of January, and have a dialogue and explain what we're suggesting and get their thinking about possible changes. We do this kind of area by area. We don't need a mega document. We can, do this. The HVAC group has its recommendations and its meeting. Lighting has its recommendations and meeting. Building envelope, likewise. So I just want to encourage everybody to start thinking about this, set up some working group, action group meetings here in the next few months, and shoot for trying to get some recommendations about the changes that we think make sense to the programs, and get that in the hands of Excel before the end of the year. And I'm happy to stay involved and help with pulling together those recommendations as we go forward. So that's what I wanted to say. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay. Oh, we have a question.
What would be the best first step to engage with them early?
Our groups get together and we go through, like, I'll say, for example, ear. So the ear rating on heat pumps was a big deal. And we started meeting and putting together what we'd say, here's what your program is at right now. Here's what we'd like to recommend. This is why. And we actually build a case and we have a format for it. But then we're able to say, and here's some best practices at other programs. Here's the technical assumptions. The great thing is then we're working with Howard. We have a legal team, Dietz and Davis, which Colorado is one of the only state, not only, but one of the states that requires legal to file in the legal process. So we need to go prepared and have those recommendations ready when we sit down with them in January. So we can't start talking about it in February. It's going to be too late. We're going to miss that window, but this is it. We want to do it in the negotiations one-on-one like that versus waiting till we're in a legal process. Once we go into the legal process, you're gonna, now it's only we can make recommendations formally, and then Excel is legally required to respond. That's a last resort. That's not the process you want to be in. You want to be able to have those one-on-one conversations. So get in the meetings here in the next couple months. The things that you've been thinking about, bring those things to the meeting, because EBC, I don't create them. Howard, strategically, we have concepts, but we need your input to talk about, things like, is a 2-week turnaround payback work? We know, over 6 weeks does not. And how do we, request those changes in the current processes that, make it difficult, or, what are your pain points? That's what you bring to the meetings.
So an appeal to the room and the people online as well. EEBC is is an extremely lightweight, low-cost organization for being able to deliver what you need in the market, right? So please consider membership. Please consider the volunteering. Please consider contributing your voice and your thoughts and ideas and needs and asks into the action groups. You know, sign up, join us, reach out to Patricia, reach out to Deb, and participate in that, because right now, this fall is a critical time to deliver better outcomes for your business over the next 3 years and probably going on. So as federal things are unclear right now, a lot of that federal sort of incentive stuff down at the state level, right? Certainly utilities, oncoming, other Colorado incentives, et cetera. But if we can take this opportunity, this moment right now, to align more of these things over the next few years, it's critical. So please consider contributing.
Yeah, and the action groups. So here's a list of the action groups we have right now.
Segue.
Segue, exactly. So here's your action groups to get involved with. EPC, we create them when you ask for them. So we've had a heat pump residential action group for years. And recently we've been asked to start a commercial heat pump action group in chillers and the different issues that they have. The group has just started, and we did a 90-day notice where Excel was canceling their cooling program and had an influence on that. And we had meetings with them to give input to the changes that they're making. So that's an example that that group came together. Heat pump water heaters has been super active this year and has been meeting with Excel, brought in the heat pump manufacturers and, the heat pump water heater manufacturers, A.O. Smith, Bradford White, and Ream, and had large meetings with Excel to help them include the midstream requirements that midstream works, midstream rebates, and Excel, put their RFP out and, is including some of those as well. So the point is, it's not just getting together to chat. We're like making things happen. And so that's why I wanted to get involved. And just to give a little bit of color commentary to Sean's comments, we had Hunter Douglas join the EBC, and it was after they had hired a full-time person for 2 years to work with Excel, talking to all the program managers, trying to get their smart blinds approved for rebates. Then they hired an attorney. They spent $20,000 with the attorney, but they didn't really understand the process. They tried it by themselves, and they hired the attorney. And then they joined the EBC for $3,600 and worked with the group, and they got the rebate group. So it's a different mechanism than doing it on your own. And it's it's very inexpensive or bang for your buck. And so we do have other organizations that they also contribute additional dollars to the policy work, and we call this rebate work policy. So with that, yes.
And I just want to, if you want to sign up, I have the sign up sheet here, and you can for any of the action groups some more information.
Awesome. So go see Deb to get notes.
That's zero.
And
It's supposed to
nice to see you.
Yes.
You can talk.
Are you?
Yeah,
very much. All right. A lot of really good things have happened.
You gotta turn the sound down.
Okay, great. So let's just we'll get that figured out. So when we all started working on beneficial vacation and all of the goals and all the stuff that has happened was back in 2020 that began. And one of the common things that we talked about early on is like, hey, contractors, distributors, and manufacturers said we need a one-stop shop for. We need a place that we can go and we can put the incentives in. We can get one application, submit it, have all the rebates get stacked and graded for us, and then get reimbursed right away. You know, so this was what we talked about, and it's been a couple of years, and now the program's been developed, and we're excited because we have two players that are, you know, we have a one-stop, a portal that has been launched by the state. Somebody is here to talk about that. Then we have Dr. Cog, who also has the new name. What is it?
For the brand, Powerhead Colorado.
Oh, Powerhead in Colorado. So, and they're looking at the contractor facing portion of that and the consumer facing. And so the first launch is with the state and it's consumer facing. And so we wanted to walk through and have Deborah come here and do a demo so that we can learn about why they put what in it, you know, what's in it, how we could possibly use it, contractors use it today to actually help sell heat pumps. And then started doing interviews with our members, and we had a meeting that she came to, and we all talked about what is the best practices that we're looking for our industries to sell weatherization and heat pumps, and you know, not just heat pumps. This is a portal for everything. So with that, I think one of the things that I want to point out that from your perspective is in the market in Colorado, the 15-20% now, hopefully, of the homeowners who are already looking at electrifying have the means to purchase, you know, a heat pump, for example. You know, they're the ones that are going into the portals and trying to understand, what am I going to buy? What are my choices? Getting quotes from the contractors. But the other large portion of the market, we'll say the 85%, the 80% are the emergency replacements. And the emergency replacements, that's the largest group, you know, in consumers. And so one of the goals that we've always talked about is how do we use a portal in that sale, and at the table, that technician is going to be able to have a conversation with a homeowner who's never heard of a heat pump and be able to close that in an hour and a half at the table. So there's kind of two scenarios that, you know, two different audiences. And so we also are looking at how this is EBC. These are the conversations we've had for the last 3 years. So we're here to have a group discussion about here's what we have going on in the market, and here's the resources that Colorado's lucky enough to have, you know, with what's happening. And so how do we have a collaborative discussion about, hey, this is the things that we're thinking about, looking at what's in the portal, and you know, giving great feedback to your next steps. So with that, Deborah, go ahead and introduce yourself and take the demo away.
Hello. Am I projecting enough? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Deborah Albin. I am a product manager at the Colorado Digital Service. As Patricia said, I do work for the state. I'm part of the state's Office of Information Technology. And I'm going to talk about this new product that we just launched called the Colorado Energy Savings Navigator. Well, consumers. Before I get into the product, wanted to give you all a little bit of history of how we got to where we are today. It started in 2023. Governor Polis sent a letter to various state agencies in response to rising gas prices of the 2022-23 season, saying, hey, work together and make things more affordable for consumers. Oh, somebody said, I don't think your slides are being presented. Let me make sure.
Share screen on.
I'll try this. Can someone online validate that you see something now?
Seeing it, Deb.
Now they are. Okay, great. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, so 2023, rising gas prices, Governor Polis said, hey, work together, make this more affordable for the people of Colorado. And so in response to that, there was this energy work group and communications subgroup were established. And this is a little bit jargony. It says PUC WIG. That means the Public Utilities Commission, wildly important goal. They established that they were going to put a focus on affordability. So those things happened. And then out of that communication subgroup, they came to this conclusion that, hey, there's a real lack of unified messaging for consumers, for Coloradans around energy efficiency, energy assistance. And so as a result, consumers were not aware of all the things that could be available to them. And then because of that conclusion, the state managed to secure $1.5 million in grants over 2 years. So the grant that I'm working off of, it ends at the end of 2026. So they brought me on with this money and they said, okay, solve this problem. So this is kind of how we solved it. What is the Colorado Energy Savings Navigator? Internally, we sort of affectionately refer to it as CESN, C-E-S-N. So I might throw around that term CESN. So what it is a lightweight screener that people enter a little bit of information and then it responds back with, here's the energy assistance, electrification, and energy efficiency incentives you are likely qualify for. This whole kind of project started on the energy assistance side for income qualified folks. And then we layered on, we expanded in partnership with Rewiring America to include more than 600 rebates, tax credits, and that whole incentive ecosystem for residents. We officially launched on August 1st, so this is still pretty new. Governor Polis did a public announcement, and I saw Patricia there, and that's why I'm here, because of that connection. The announcement is going pretty well. We've had a little bit more than 2,000 people come in since that public launch. And of those, around 60% of the people who start this screener, this kind of quiz, end up getting to their results. And then a few hundred people from there have gone on to pursue some action, some program or rebate beyond that. This is a partnership, like I said, between the PUC, CEO, the governor's office, and my team at the Colorado Digital Service. Yes.
Just to clarify too, the whole project when it started did not include energy efficiency rebates at that point. It was more for helping with your bills and paying your electric bills and so it's like all the other benefits to the Coloradoans. And then I think you talked about at some point you guys found out about the savings, the rebates that we're talking about today and added it to. So it didn't start out only as a Colorado Energy Savings Navigator. It started as resources for Coloradoans for low income.
Yeah.
You added this moderate.
Right. Our deep early focus was around income qualified Coloradans, people who are 60 to 80% AMI, what is that, area median income? And then in partnering with Rewiring America and my friend Ben, who you're going to hear with soon, we realized, oh, this is actually a perfect vehicle for also servicing for people who aren't AMI or aren't income qualified. They have energy needs too. I won't go through all of these, but as for sort of moving away from that assistance piece, like I said, we're servicing rebates and tax credits from Rewiring America. And this is kind of the categories of rebates and credits that we're servicing. As last time I checked, Colorado had 670 that we were pulling from. And of course, that's going to change when a few expire, some federal credits. But we've got insulation and sealing, heating, cooling, some solar, weatherization, some appliance stuff, heat pump water heaters, and general electrification projects in there. So this is my cue to do the demo. I am going to stop sharing and then reshare. Can I get validation that people on the Zoom see?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is our landing page. This is built on the Public Utilities Commission's website. The first thing I'll say is we kind of, from our user research, we really bifurcated the experiences between, hey, I'm experiencing a crisis related to energy, that is, I'm being disconnected, I'm behind on my bills, because what we found is there's a real extra cognitive load for those folks who are applying, say, for LEAP or Energy Outreach Colorado. And we wanted to just make it really easy for them. Hey, if you're in a crisis, go here. You don't have to answer questions. And we also added this kind of pretty big banner warning people that federal credits are running out. And then this actually goes to Rewiring America. Can't say enough how much we appreciate their work. They do a really good job at communicating deadlines for credits, for tax credits. All right, that's it. I'm going to get into this screener. So the first thing that we do when somebody starts this process is we split them between homeowner and renter. The reason we do that is because different programs and different rebates are available to both. For this demonstration, I'm going to say that I'm a homeowner. We support, I want to say 12 languages. I'm going to do it in English. This next screen basically is saying we're not saving your information. And also, if you really like, this is anonymous. And so if you really want to know what your final eligibility is, you got to apply to the thing. And I'm just going to agree to these terms. My zip code. I'm going to enter my personal zip code. I live in Longmont, so you're going to see what's available to me, although I'm guessing we've got a lot of Denver folks in here. I just don't know a Denver zip offhand. So I live in Boulder County. And of course, we ask these things for a few reasons. We map that to utilities. We map that to certain local programs that we're screening for. Again, for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to say, just for speed, I'm going to say I'm a household of one, although usually we see people living with a family. And it's asking me this a lot on that energy assistance side. There's just a lot of, there are more eligibility requirements than, say, rebates. So it's going to ask me some things. It matters how old you are. So that's why it's asking me the month and year of my birth. It's not asking for my full birthday. So it's not publicly identified, PII. Personal identifying information, but it's just to get really nuanced into what I might qualify for. I am not none of these things. I am neither widowed. For widow, the reason we're asking people if they're widowed, this is a certain tax credit, PTC rebate, I think. Currently have disabilities that make you unable to work now or in the future. I think that's also the PTC credit. And then have in-home life support or medical equipment. This is very specific to Excel, has some medical exemption programs. So I am none of these things. So those results are not going to surface for me. I'm going to enter my income as though I am income qualified. I am in that 80% AMI. So I'm going to say that I get paid every 2 weeks, and my take home every 2 weeks is $1,500. Yes. Then, like I said, we map location to utility. I use Longmont Power. And as you can guess, of course, we're screening that because of the, eligibility by utility. We ask for heating source. We're not, so again, this is also, I personally use Excel for gas, but as some of you probably know, in the States, some people heat their home with wood, there's just alternative sources. And so we're asking them that. So tell us, why are we asking if someone's electricity and or gas is currently disconnected? This is for some of those like Energy Outreach Colorado or LEAD. Likewise, you have a past due bill. And then this last one is different. We're also asking people if they have a gas or diesel powered vehicle that's 12 years old or older or has failed an emissions test. We found in our user research that Colorado, you might know, has a program called Vehicle Exchange Colorado. It's an income qualifying program. You can get $4,000 or $6,000 off for an EV if you trade in your old car. So I'm going to say that, sure. And finally, we're asking if you have any appliances you're considering replacing or are broken and need a replacement. This is basically saying, are you interested in rebates? This is like another way to frame that. The reason we're asking this specifically this way is if somebody indicates that yes, they are interested, we're going to move their rebate results to the top. I'm really showing you how the sausage is made. Does your household currently have any public assistance benefits? I will say yeah, because so you can see kind of the full list of benefits. I'm going to say that I use SNAP and Medicaid. Colorado is most frequently used public assistance benefits, I think. And then here's the information that I entered. That took me a little while because I explained each step, but what we're seeing in our data is this is taking people an average of 3 minutes and 44 seconds to fill. So this is what it has turned out. So 7 programs, in our case, programs refers to public assistance, and then 58 rebates. So I'll just go lightly into the programs without spending a ton of time here, but where possible, we tell people how long it's going to take you to apply and what you can expect to get from this benefit. So you can see we did that here with Vehicle Exchange Colorado. We do this so that people can really prioritize how they're going to use their time and what they're going to apply for. And then if you get into the rebates, I'll go into here. We recently changed how we're sort of positioning. We indicate hopefully people are reading this, but it sort of remains to be seen. We're saying, hey, there's stacking possibilities. Talk to a trusted contractor and they'll help kind of guide you through how to do all this. We again point to Rewiring America for all their great content. In my case, because I'm a Longmont Power customer, it's telling me, hey, find someone from Efficiency Works, and Efficiency Works has a list of contractors who will do heat pumps. And so hopefully the person engages with them, and then that contractor can really guide them through the process. And then what we've done for now is we've top loaded those federal credits so that people know, like we just wanted to show people what is available. And then of course they're going to be removed, or they won't display anymore when those are gone. And then we tried to prioritize these from, hey, what's going to, aside from the federal stuff, what's going to have kind of the highest value to lowest. So that's how we ordered them. So that's that is the demo. Getting back into slides. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Eric, can you confirm? Okay. So how people are going to hear about this? We have been working, we've worked on some marketing, digital and print collateral. This is an example of the print collateral that somebody might see at a poster at the library, for example. We're still working on, getting people to buy in to sort of promote this for us. It's free, of course, for them to promote it. But yeah, what we really want is for utilities to promote this. We would love for it to be in inserts or on their website. And then to really reach the populations that seek energy assistance. We're hoping to go to community spaces. We heard in our research that people gather in churches, libraries, schools. They trust daycares, communication, for example, and county human services. I'm going to pause. That's it for the demo.
Question. And so when you actually go into, for example, and start to go through that process, what does that look like? I think if the connection then is the homeowner says, okay, I'm interested in a heat pump. Can you just talk through that a little bit, like what that little journey is?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a start. What we do now is for every credit, every rebate, we're sending people back to, if it's Excel, we send them back to Excel's explainer for that, or if it's, Efficiency Works, we're going to send them back there. Yeah. And so then it's gonna be on the homeowner to find the contractor. What we keep hearing is that a contractor is really going to guide the person. And so we're, as some of you know, we've spoken to a few of you, as Patricia said, we really want to work with contractors and figure out, like, how do we get people to know what the next step is? Like, we're doing an okay job. We're sending people to the information, but like, how can we make sure that they are really going through the journey as they should?
Do you have any questions? Because we'll go ahead and bring up the whole panel if there's no questions.
Okay, I'll sign off the Zoom then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. All right, so it's all going up. It's a car. Play. Mac.
She's safe.
Snuck out on you, right? It's like I'm out of here. Great.
Yes.
So this is the group representative of the portals and what's going on. And so we have everybody introduce themselves, and probably Sakar, if you want to go first, because you can explain your relationship and your role.
Yes.
And he's our technical guru on stage.
Awesome. Nice to meet everyone. I've met many of you before. Good to see many familiar faces. It's at Helio. I had my own electrification startup, contract for Eli for some time, and I've been with my friend Ben this year. We are a technology nonprofit backed by the Gates Foundation and a number of other folks, and we build public benefits and tax credit software. We help families find unclaimed public benefits and tax credits. That is about a $200 billion a year problem, of which energy benefits is a portion. With the state, they were one of our first customers to build a custom benefits screener for just energy benefits. Specifically, what you all just saw demoed, my team built the technology for that in partnership with the Colorado Digital Service. We do a number of other things outside of just energy benefits, but for the purposes of today, that's what my friend Ben does. We were a vendor for the state and helped build this in partnership with them.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, hello again. Mac Prather from DRCOG, the Regional Council. Already shared this with you all a little bit ago, but I'm really focused on our incentives. And I think probably most salient to this conversation are energy advising. So those are our people, resources that are helping customers plan projects and get this work done on a more hands-on way.
Yeah, and hey again, Clay McComb, DRCOG. Also, our branding won't be DRCOG because it's so confusing. So if you look at the nice little Patagonia here, Power Ahead Colorado is going to be the name that you'll hear. So I'm the program manager there for workforce and industry.
Great. So one of the first things that I want to ask about is seeing this portal and knowing the work that you guys are going to be doing. How do you see, because there's not a specific portal that's stacking rebates at this point, right? So any ideas on like interactivity or, you know, that you see coming or thinking about?
Yeah, I feel like I can maybe start us off and just share. We saw a demonstration probably a month ago, and Sakar and Deb have been really cool about kind of sharing what this season tool is going to look like. We feel that what we're kind of going to build out with this Colorado Contractor Hub is going to be just a good kind of vetted list that refers to all the other lists as well, like that Efficiency Works badge, that Excel Energy badge. I feel like that capability to speak to what the application gathers from the customer could point them in the direction of not just one contractor, but get a couple quotes. And it'd be nice to have that somewhat integrated. So we actually applied for some funding as well from the state, SIPA, State Internet Portal Authority. Glad I got that right. Focused on largely rebate aggregation, so bringing on a third-party rebate aggregator so that we could expedite that process and pain point, as well as immediate payout to customers. Integrating that into our hub, as well as some funding set aside, we can integrate our Contractor Hub portal API into the season tool. So I'm excited to see what that leads to, but we'll see if we get that funding or not.
Really, on the other side of.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line, I think, is you all want to get, as businesses, as professionals, you all want connections to people who are ready to install something right in their home. So that grant is one opportunity, but I think we're all interested in finding the ways to make our tools easier to talk to each other. So if somebody goes through this eligibility, maybe they need more help, they get connected to an energy advisor. That person kind of helps them evaluate bids from different contractors, plan projects, get it enrolled in different programs and so forth.
Sakar, do you want to talk about AI in this and like how is that going to play into homeowners finding contractors? And we've talked about the struggle, of the homeowner getting to the right contractor. That's I think something that in looking at the portals is how do we, how is the homeowner going to go into the portal and then, they're going to go online and search, if they get to you guys, it sounds, so I'm just thinking like the journey, right? Of the homeowner connecting with the contractor and then what is going into the market right now, with what you guys are working on. And so from your perspective, the crowd, like any thoughts about that in that if the homeowner goes in to your portal and then they go, okay, hey, I'm eligible for these rebates. They can click into their utility, but then the next step is then will they get connected to a contractor who's on the preferred contractor list, or they're gonna call the HVAC, company that they've used before who's not on the list and be like, oh, but I have all these rebates. So any thoughts about that from you guys of, the challenges with that?
I will say that we do track the sources of how we're getting our potential prospects. And we have like 8 or 9 different sources, right? It could be I Google web searched you were an Excel trade partner, on the Denver Care rebate program, or a referral, and so we're tracking all that. So I guess if the new portal has like some built-in SEO, and then like the internet demigods are like favoring that so that it can kind of like elevate those companies that are on those lists with those badges, and it can instill a sense of confidence and actually become kind of a brand of quality installation, and maybe there's a little blurb about why it's a big deal to be on this list, that could help funnel additional leads to, to the people in this room.
I think working with BDC for the few months that I have, their approach to lists is, they always say it's not about lists, it's about generating leads for contractors. And they have a lot of tools built in to help improve that, like, lead response time. Like, they will give you stats when you're enrolled in the hub on, hey, you were actually in like the 25th percentile of lead responsiveness. If you like ramp that up, you would, get more prospects. And so I like that idea. I think we have so many lists in Colorado. It's hard for the consumer to know which list is a good list, which contractor is a good contractor. Quality, they all say quality, right? But if you call, I've called some people on lists. I won't name names, but like some like businesses are out of business, and so are these lists being vetted and kept up with, and not only with legitimate businesses, but with heat pump champions too.
Yes.
To the single source of truth concept. So many lists, so many contractors. How do we know what's correct? And certainly consumer beware, but how many hundreds of millions of dollars are being not quite thrown, but potentially thrown at the problem, right? So of the folks that are on the panel here, how do you see single source of truth being acknowledged, respected, and defended over time, over whether it be 2 years or 5 years or however long this lasts, through to the realization of statewide contractor, better insurance processes, lead gen, all these things. Where's that little bit of money go to pay a handful of people to make sure it's all correct?
Great and hard question. I think I'm mostly out of the private sector, but now I'm in, most of my experience has been in the private sector, but here seeing how nonprofits and governments collaborate with private sector, it's a complex problem domain, right? There's a lot of stakeholder management. There's a lot of different concurrent processes going on, different pots of money, different areas of responsibility, all happening at the same time. So, the way I look at us as two portals, season is really user focused. It's great. The PUC is bought in. The governor's office is bought in. It launched with the press. There will be marketing about this from the entities that are able to reach consumers the best, folks who are utilities and have ratepayers like Excel. That's the user journey we're really focused on. Now, there's a big contractor portal launching too. I think we're all in a lot of different conversations, and many of which rep through the governor's office and other folks around how we can streamline and simplify that. I don't have a direct answer to this person at this place is responsible, making sure everything's up to date and nothing is duplicated, but it's an evolving process and you have to give it some patience. But the exciting thing is huge folks with big bullhorns are pushing this really hard, right? The governor did a press conference about this. Folks in his direct team and reporting line are pushing this kind of work. And we haven't been there even 3 years ago, even 2 years ago.
I wanted to add to, do you want to take
Go for it.
Since we launched and we've been really road showing to utilities, especially co-ops and munis who have their own rebates. A really interesting thing that has happened. They look at the way we're displaying their rebates. And they say, oh, actually, this is wrong. This is out of date. And I say, great. That is so good to hear because that means we can fix it. And so I send them over to Rewiring America, or I might connect with Rewiring America where we're getting our data from. And I say, hey, this is out of date. And so it's like, it's kind of from the ground up, I guess. So it's the utilities themselves. When they're reminded that they have to check, I think they have a lot of, not authority, but like they feel a lot of responsibility to that. And so they're going in and they're making sure that they're represented correctly. And it's nice because it has an outsized impact. Because if we're updating it like upstream from Rewiring America, we're not the only clients of that. data. And so then wherever the, I don't know, Gunnison electricity co-op is getting wherever that data is displaying about that from Rewiring America, it's updated everywhere. So that's nice.
As you learn about the complexities of every single rebate program, is there opportunity to help simplify these programs across all the rebate administrators? For example, Excel just actually announced that their rebates will not be available for people who have electric resistance starting, I think, November, and that's a decent heads up. But that's probably not in your screener right now. Or like the Colorado tax credits for people who have at least 80% of their annual heating load covered, which is also not something that consumer would know off the top. And then there are other details like Efficiency Works has its own commissioning process that's independent of Excel's commissioning form requirements. So I think you're in a really cool, unique position where you're documenting all this, but also seeing firsthand the complexity of it. And I hope that there'll be like a feedback loop to the admins.
Yeah, we're lucky to work with folks at Excel, at the state, and we also participate in Belco, Beneficial Electrification League of Colorado, which convenes a lot of those administrators. So we're also trying to be a force to get folks to align. And to Sean's point, in the long term, wouldn't it be nice if we had one statewide contractor list and one way to process incentives across the whole state? We're really trying to push towards that. As you guys know, it's complicated to work with the big utilities and all the players, but the staff and the folks that run those programs are on board, and so that's part of our mission for sure.
Cool. It's a lot to keep in people's heads, like otherwise.
It is, and EEBC has done a lot, and Belco has done a lot, and Patricia's on that Belco group. So even over the past 2 or 3 years, just to get folks aligned with CE tiers for specs and Energy Star specs for equipment using similar specs. There's been a lot of work that's gone into that and moved folks into alignment. There's a lot more to do in terms of commissioning and how we do those things, but we have a work plan with all those topics in it.
So everyone's flexible and there's no pushback to like,
That's not true. There's will to align where we can. So we're working on that as part of our mission.
I like Brad's comment too about that feedback loop, just something maybe on the website. If you see something that seems incorrect, just like, I think this is incorrect, just let us know, to your point.
I'm hearing that, and I'm also thinking of the conversations we're having in the Belco group, and Beneficial Electrification League is the Belco group. It's been around for a couple of years. There's a Beneficial Electrification League nationally. Colorado's one of the first chapters in 2020. It was kind of the big utilities that were delivering 91% of the energy in Colorado are in that group. But there also are over 50 utilities in Colorado. So it's herding cats. And so the challenge is big, because then how do you inspire all of them to say, oh, let's take all of our budgets and let's have one place that we're going to put all the correct information in and disseminate it out to everyone. That's the holy grail. It is not there yet, but there's work being done. But I think that, I guess one of the things I want to ask from the group here is also Colorado Energy Office and Belco are working on trying to create one statewide list for contractors. However, this is my question on timing, because they're not resourced to have like one person who's having conversation with 50 utilities, or create a relationship that all the utilities make a commitment that if there's a change, that's, they're going to pick up the bat phone and call them and make sure that it's done. So here's my question. If the state list is created, but it's only updated quarterly, how much of a problem is that for contractors versus it needs to be updated in real time when rebates are changed?
Let's try quarterly first. I mean, as opposed to.
Okay, that's a good comment. So
It's quarterly, I'll bet you could improve towards weekly or real time.
but one of the things that I hear is that, but that list has to be vetted and making sure that businesses are not are still in business, like you're saying.
Back to AI.
Yeah, so then that's a good question. Sakar, can we like create a program that would keep track of that instead of having it be manual? Betty?
There are definitely ways to do that, yeah, I mean, what is the exact threshold that we would measure? Is the business's website live? Could we call a number and see if it's still there or anybody responds? You can automate a lot more things. I think with AI, there are so many directions I can go with that topic, but where I'll start is you should expect technology built by every organization to be built faster, better, and with higher standards. Everything has really kind of hit an inflection point, and some orgs that are on the cutting edge using software engineering tools where they are right now are producing output in as fast as double, triple, 5x, 10x, and they can do a lot more with that technology, both internally and in the product using AI in novel ways. So I'm happy to answer specific questions, but yes, I do think we can get a lot better and have higher fidelity and set higher standards for ourselves in all of the orgs we work with that build technology.
Because the practicality is that if you're saying, if at least the list could be updated quarterly, so there's two things. The list of the contractors being updated quarterly, you're saying, and being accurate, but also the incentives being correct on that part. That's the part that I'm worried about. Incentives being updated quarterly is a concern because I feel like you need to have them updated within a day.
Well, there's,
I need like a yes or a no on that, kind of like show of hands or something.
but there's two parts to that. There's the active management, which is we're gonna put a system in place to quarterly review what we have and is it correct. But then there's also the feedback loop that here's new information, here's a change, and that's reactive, right? So proactive and reactive need both happen. And it gets into this trust and verify capability that I think is possible on automation, which also ties into workforce development, which ties into trustworthy contractor base, right? Because contractors have earned reputations, good or bad, right? And when it comes into insurance, when it comes into being on the list, when it comes into quality installation, verification, et cetera, and so on, that trust and verify is, yes, as a contractor, I'm going to install it and I attest. This is the key. Have the contractor attest that what they are doing is according to this information correct. And then you have leverage to remove them if they don't follow through. But that's got to be part of that quarterly, red light, green light, yellow light scenario, whatever.
And then can I get back? Is it a suspension?
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity to get back? It's just like a good maintenance of a list like that. It takes, more than 2 FTEs. So like, does Belco have the funding or the infrastructure to really maintain that list? I don't want to speak yes or no, but like to do it well and to do it at the point we're at in Colorado where we can, I think, lead the country in beneficial electrification. I think we have to invest wisely in it. And we're throwing $4.5 million at it with BDC and in partnership with BEIC. So I hesitate in conversations like that to be like, well, it should just be ours. But like too much noise in the industry hurts you all more than these implementers and our egos. It's not about who owns what list. It's about, are we making the market more complex than it needs to be? Can we put our egos aside and work together?
I think one of the assumptions to really interrogate there is, are we doing a human-driven process, or are we taking some original software thinking to this and trying to find a good technical solution? I do think these are things that can be and should be automated, and the technology is there to do that. It just requires the focus and the team to do it. And those are the questions that we should be asking at every stage with every level of stakeholder. What are we doing? How are we doing this? Are we applying kind of our old ways of thinking to this, or are we going to try something new? That's easier said than done, of course, because there's a lot of momentum in the way that government grants are done, government contracts are done. It's not simple. And it's the same in the private sector too. It's maybe not as extreme.
Low level question, but kind of related to what Sean was saying. We've been part of a lot of energy programs for the last 10 years, pretty much everyone in the state. And in installation air sealing, the hardest part is air sealing. Anybody, I can take anybody in this room, we can go blow insulation on an attic. However, we've seen countless times where we go to a project that's been air sealed and there's nothing been done to it by another contractor. And they're on a list and the customer reports it back. Sometimes we're sent out there by the people holding the list, whatever agency that is. And they're still on the list. They're still on the list 6 months later, still on the list a year later, still on the list 2 years later, and they're just doing repeatedly bad work. I don't know if there's a consultant that could be used or somebody that's like a third party, no skin in the game type of person that is an expert in the field that can just go out and just take a customer's concern. Because in some cases, they're spending $6,000-7,000 overpaying for a project. Number one, having poor quality work. A rebate was filed, and the contractor that did the work is still out there doing it. It's just a shame, it's, and then the customer's on the lurch, like, hey, my house is no better. My bills are the same. I didn't improve anything. Going from an R30 to an R60 without air sealing is really not going to help. It's really that tightening the envelope type thing. So that's just one example. You could probably use that in the HVAC. I've heard some other guys mention it, and gals, but it's just, I think, a third party, no skin in the game type person that's just, just shoots straight. So kind of the judge, that just makes the final call. And then you have obviously a probationary, Energy Smart years ago when Clear Result ran it, had a scorecard. And so, they went out and QC'd our projects, and we would lose points if we didn't do something or miss something. We gain points with customers' feedback. I don't know if the scorecard is necessarily the right thing to do, but some just method just to keep everybody, on the same playing field, because that's where we start seeing a disparity in quotes and trying to explain that to a customer that's like, hey, why is this one 5,000? This one's only 2,500. It's like, well, I don't know. That's the material cost. I don't know how we could do a project for straight material cost. And then last thing I'll leave it at is, I don't know how to word it right, but labor pool. Picking people that are W-9 employees that are actually employees of a company, not somebody we just picked up off the street. I think they get abused. I think they get taken advantage of. We have a lot of immigrants that come over and looking for work. And we can put people to work, but we got to take care of them. And you can take care of them by making them employees with the company. Make sure they're, covered by Colorado state law when it comes to sick time and, things like that. And they're not in some companies. And I'm probably not speaking to anybody in this room, but we all have these competitors that we worked with or just fly by night. So I don't know how to kind of vet that part out. We have the LCP tracker for Denver. That works great. We're part of that process. So just kind of throwing that solution out there. It might be an idea, but just something to make sure that companies are not only, they're just good stewards of the community and their own people, not just entering a program and taking the money and, doing poor work and running around. So, Secretary of State is standing, making sure those businesses are in good standing. When were they incorporated? Did they have other businesses that they ran into the ground, been sued, started up a new company? I mean, I could go on, but there's a lot of basic, easy checks. But I think it needs a third party company to help with that. Or I say third party, but just because it can get personal real quick, especially dealing with some of those personalities. If they're negative or they kind of are running that, they run their business that way anyways. They're just full of anger and they can get real aggressive, and it just kind of gets weird. So having a third party is really cool because we just do photo documentation. We got Company Cam and all these others, and you just send stuff in, and it shouldn't be that it should be pretty easy to hold people accountable to involve work.
I mean, great comments. Can I respond to the first one? That's when I said we have an energy advisor to act as a service for your business. That's kind of the whole point. We'll have that energy advisor to help the customer, and we're going to have QA and QC for that reason. We take a lot of inspiration from one Scott Sudreth, yes, who has kind of designed a program in that way when he was doing that work. But to say, hey, we have an energy advisor who's going to advocate for the contractors and the trades that are doing work the right way. And we have a person who can do QA, QC and go to your home and make sure that it was done the right way, not as a way to like find the poke holes in it, but to show to the customer that, yeah, it was done right. And then if there's a need to maybe coach or follow up with some training, we have that too. So I think we have a good format for how we want to do that, especially with heat pumps. I'd love to talk to you all more about how we can do that with inflow measures, but yeah, when I say that should be a service to your businesses, you guys are here because you're doing stuff the right way. So we want to make sure those are designed in a way that's going to make sure the customer understands what is the right way to do this work. You know, what's kind of the recourse if they have concerns, and it shouldn't only fall on you all, right? So I appreciate the comment. We're gonna have a lot of design to get to that, and we'll have more conversation, but thank you. You can take two if you want.
Just not to make it again about the license thing, but like, you know, I think that is an example of how some bad actors can get away with what they do. Is you can jump from jurisdiction to jurisdiction where there might be less prescriptive measures and accountability in certain town of Meade. I always use as an example, requires no mechanical training whatsoever to do HVAC work. So all you need is a business license. If I have a business license, I can go install a gas piece of equipment in Meade. Why should people in Meade have a less safe experience than people in Denver, just based on where they live? And you know, how do we have a labor gap too, so let's not make it too exclusive to where we're keeping people out of the industry, but how do we get the bad actors out, or just have them improve their practices and keep them in? I think a lot of that can be done with a state license, and it's conversations like this that need to inform what that involves.
We had one back in the back person.
I just had a process suggestion for the for keeping the list updated. So basically what you want to know is what you're saying you want to know is what companies are no longer in operation. And I would just suggest it's 2025, businesses always offload their work to the customer, right? So just you've got the information, just email them once a month and say, are you still in operation? Yes. If you don't get anything, then basically you've got a smaller pool. Then you can do another ping to see if their website's up, and basically reduce the pool until you get to a short list. And then you can just do it manually. And I think it would be pretty easy. I don't know, Sakar. I mean, it's up to you. But I mean, it seems like if you start with the idea that it's their responsibility to tell you, and you can do that very automatically, then you aren't spending a lot of money, taxpayer money, et cetera, doing this.
Since these are pretty busy businesses, it's hard to respond to emails. I get 100+ emails a day, right? Like it would be a high bar. I wouldn't want to ask too much of contractors who are already having so much pushed on them.
Yeah, but if it's a quarterly review, I would say it's a 3 strikes. You get 3 quarters if you don't respond. And if you don't actively update your listing on the list back to single source of truth, if you don't actively update it at least once a year, you're off.
Yeah, I think
that's 3 quarters.
It comes back to setting the expectation right there. You say that, hey, to be a part of this program, the expectation is that you're gonna respond to it, you know, whatever. Once it's ordered, right, then it's their responsibility. They don't.
There's also a participation component. If the contractor is actually not participating, or they might be signed up, but if they just don't do anything in Excel's programs, they don't file a rebate in 2 years, we go out of our way to try to contact them and remove them from the list if they're not interested, which is fine. You know, if they don't want to do it, that's okay. But, you know, I mean, that's just cleanup. But we don't spend, you know, every month doing that. Once a year is enough. Because what we found is it's not really a problem if a company goes out of business. I mean, it's a very, very small problem. Because they're gonna get a hit from a customer occasionally, and the customer will just move on to the next person on the list.
It's about credibility of that list, though, I think too.
Yeah. This is coming really fast, and it is 9:40. And so this is a great topic. I hope this has been helpful to hear what's happening in the market and where things are at, and there's opportunities for input from our group and as individuals. And I think that it's really important that you're able to make time to give them feedback as they're on this very wild journey trying to get to something that will work for us. And I think it's really the journey of the consumer and making sure that the right connections are in there to get to the contractors And then some of the discussion that we've had about, you know, the contractor lists, because that's brewing right now and that's being done in different ways. And I appreciate that feedback because I think we have some work to do to try to influence the direction of those. Yes.
I just wanted to chime in on some stuff that Ryan said and then Casey pointed out because of the sunsetting of the solar. And this also kind of ties in with trust and verify. And so Excel recently made a recent enhancement and we worked with them on the process. You know, after you install solar or battery, whatever, they would have somebody that would physically go out. So now utilizing company cam and templates, and we're uploading through the portal proof of, you know, like we've got like 13 photos to say like, these are the things that we've done. The reason why this is so critical is because of that timeline. We're trying to get all these permission operates as quickly as possible. Luckily, Excel put this process back in on effective July 1st, and it has literally amplified the ability to more projects through. If we're going to try to hit 1,600 homes with quality installations, there is a pathway that we can do where we can kind of like provide that proof in the photos and be able to show that information. So I just wanted to put that out there. Happy to work with the team on that as we're one of the stakeholders in the Excel process of like, how do we get those pictures so we can expedite that process?
Right. Was there a question in the back, Deb?
Well, I did have one, but you somewhat answered it. I just was gonna make a comment. I moved to the Western Slope into a whole new world. And as you develop statewide, know that most of the best contractors do not have a website. They're word of mouth. They function through Facebook. I lived through fires, and how I found out what was going on with the latest fire. Could I move my horse back from Garfield County? Facebook. Everybody communicates on Facebook. So we're gonna have some challenges when you move to that part of the world.
Great point.
Great. So I apologize that we're going to have to, was there a question?
Well, workforce, we have.
Well, that's what I was gonna do next.
Yes.
Yes, we're totally on the same page. Yeah, so want to make an announcement for workforce, and you were pointing to someone to.
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron's right in front of you. Hi, Aaron. So. And let's get to that screen real quick. This is your team here up on the front, working on your behalf. Oh, okay, my slide's not there. So we have, Deb, do you want to talk about the workforce training program that Excel and EBC and Johnstone have been doing? And then Aaron just had a great experience as a great student.
Yes, I want to give him more time to talk. We're going into our 7th course. We've done our first 4 pilots and 2 this year. We've had an 83% hiring rate. We've put through 102 students, 97 who graduated. Some people who come into the program find out they don't like tight spaces, don't like roofs, won't climb a ladder. It's not a good fit for them. So we kind of weed those people out. Anybody who comes into the program, we start September 29th. I'm still looking for some participants who will host a workday experience. And that's where the student comes out, works for free, but to really experience your culture, learn more about it. I've had some great experiences. And then Aaron, why don't you talk about Brenda?
Sure. Well, that was really helpful in sending over Brenda, who went through the training. I'm actually going to hand it over to my business partner Xerxes over there because she now works with him daily on heat pump installations.
I mean, Deb, thanks a lot. What can I say about Brenda is that her experience we learned about as we got to know her, and she came in with more experience than you'd see on her resume. So there was a lot of background that added to her skills. And one thing that I really, really appreciate about Brenda is her integrity. She shows up early and she is eager to learn. So those are the things that we can really build a long-term, lasting employee relationship, and that's what.
We've learned a lot through our journey from our first pilot of students that was like herding a bunch of wild cats. And they thought they wanted to be in the industry. Dean Wolf has adjusted the curriculum several times to really fit the fast track model. And it's, you know, they're not going to learn everything. But the other part of it, it has opened up the door for a lot of contractors to send their newer employees to come and learn about heat pumps. They then get CEUs with Nate, and it gets the learning process going. And I've had contractors who have taken the course and running in the labs because they kind of blew a few fuses. You know, so they get the hands-on experience. They're going to get 4 manufacturers when they come through the training. It may not be the product that you always use in your home, but it's similar. Our goal is to help all of our distributors have some kind of course that they can offer to their contractors so that they can train their people or have more new people come to them as well. So if you have any thoughts, ideas, want to participate, looking for a few more workday experience people, let me know.
Great. All right. Thank you. And that's up on the screen. If you just go to EBC website, you can get the information. But bottom line is, if you have a new hire, or like 1 or 3 years, it's a great program to put them through to get productivity up and quality installs. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to all of our market, and look forward to having action group meetings for the rest of the year to make stuff happen for next year. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. There's a class in here at 10 o'clock, so you have to go home.
I have a question for you. Yeah. Don't see you. Take care of it.